green or red? Okay, perfect. All right, we're rolling, guys.
Perfect.
Yo.
Testing. We're good?
It's been so long since I've been on someone else's show. Like I actually am getting a little bit nervous, I'm finding.
Yeah?
But that's just how it is. So the first thing, you said you wanted to talk about this. I'm bringing this up now. Are we like magnetic today, or have you been doing something special? Because we were at the coffee shop downstairs, and then it was on the elevator. It was on three different occasions today. A woman
Not
has started
today, in the last 5 minutes.
Yeah, that's right. Like an hour before this happened, 30 minutes before this happened, these three sets of women, they looked at you like deer in the headlights. You must
Dude,
be.
I think it was both of us, man. I think it was both of us for sure.
I wonder, is it the both of us, or is it like just because your jawline's hitting so special these days? You know,
Is it the fact that you're a famous YouTuber?
they don't. No one cares. Am I even a famous YouTuber? My channel is called Captain Sinbad.
Pretty well known, Captain Sinbad.
Dude, that's so goofy. Like, this is such a goofy name. Like, one day, the thing is, when I started the channel, I didn't know that I'd be Captain Sinbad, right? Like, I was 25 when I chose that name, Captain Sinbad. I was 25, unemployed, living at home with my parents, and I was just starting to make videos about not jerking off. Like, that was the topic. That was like the whole theme. You know, that was the through line at first. And so I just didn't want them to know, like, Nikhil is talking about, like, not, you know what I mean? So then I was like, oh, Captain Sinbad.
So that's why you chose the name Captain Sinbad.
The reason partially is because I was in running to be in the live action Aladdin movie. I was an aspiring actor for many years in LA. The only audition that I really got was for this movie, Aladdin. And I got pretty far. Like, I got through a couple auditions. I even flew out to London to give, like, a callback or whatever. And when I didn't get it, I kind of became curious about, it's a big deal, right, that movie? So I became curious about the Arabian Nights in general. And so I was like, oh, okay, there's these other characters in the Arabian Nights. There's Ali Baba. I don't know if you know him, but like,
I'm not familiar with all
Ali
this
Baba
stuff,
is like Open Sesame. He like, I think the reason Jack Ma called his company Ali Baba is because in the Arabian Nights, Ali Baba, he discovers this den where all this thief's gold is. And to open up this cavern, you say Open Sesame. You know, like, it's become like a lost meme almost, like Open Sesame. But that was a thing that came from the Arabian Nights. And then there was another character in that trifecta of heroes, Aladdin, Ali Baba, and Sinbad the Sailor. And unlike Aladdin, who had a genie who gave him everything he ever got, all of his dreams came true because of magic, essentially. Sinbad lived in a universe where he had to go out to sea and wage war against mythical beasts to go find treasure. And because Sinbad was a little bit of a player, he had a love of women, he would end up spending a lot of his treasure as well. So he would always end these stories like broke. Like, he always starts a new, there's the seven voyages of Sinbad. And after
But
every
what connected you with that story? Why were you so interested to call
I-
your YouTube channel Captain Sinbad because of that story?
because I didn't have a genie to make my dreams come true. So if I was going to make it happen, I would have to take the voyage myself. You know, that's where that idea came from.
I love that, man. So, dude, I just want to sit down. I mean, I know we've been hanging out here in Miami. So
Yeah.
we had a great time. Some people have seen it on Instagram and the shorts. I'm sure the video is going to be banger. But I just feel like you've been in the public eye, at least in the manosphere, for a number of years now. And I don't know if anyone has delved into your story within a podcast format. And so that's why I'm really excited, because as I've gotten to know you over like the last 2 years or so, I just feel like you're such an interesting character, and I'd love to hear more about you.
Thanks, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess. Well, thanks for asking. I never told my story because I don't think anyone. I figured no one would care. But
Dude, you have a ton of fans, man. You have almost 600,000 subscribers. You have a bunch of loyal followers to your videos, to your Instagram. Like, dude, you're big, man.
well, thanks, man. I would say the through line of my life has come from the Indian American experience, just being perfectly caught between two different cultures. And it sounds like a simple thing to say, but it's very hard to live up to both ideals. America is very individualistic, and you want to make a name for yourself. You want to be a somebody in the West. Like, all the TV shows, everything I watched growing up, there weren't a lot of Indian guys. Now there's more diversity in cinema, so I'm not like woke. Yeah. But growing up, the Indian guy was always like the guy who's like coming in his pants. One of the auditions I gave originally was for this TV show Nip Tuck.
Okay.
And the audition was, my character was a 15-year-old doctor, like a prodigy doctor. and he's performing a breast reduction on a woman because actually the show takes place in Miami. He's performing a breast reduction, and as he's like talking about her breasts, he just comes in his pants. He just ejacks in his pants. And that was what the audition was. So me, as a 15-year-old, giving this audition for a TV show in Hollywood, I was like, my dad was helping me read the lines, and I had to like, in front of my dad, you know, like
totally joking.
No, that's the role, but that also was emblematic of how Asian guys were perceived until very recently. Like it's only, I would say, 5 to 7 years ago where the perception has dramatically shifted. But the Indian guy back in my high school days was the butt of every joke. And it did inform my experience of women growing up. The statement that I've heard so often in my life is I'm not usually into Indian guys, but like you're really good looking, or like you're really good looking for an Indian guy. I didn't expect I'd be into you. Like they're surprised by it. And I don't blame people because I think to some degree, those statements came from somewhere. I think a lot of Indian people, the culture is very attuned to education, industry, and there's a fear or a stepping away from anything lusty, worldly, women, dating, sex is a taboo topic. And so Indian guys, just through upbringing, are a little bit even women, under cultivated when it comes to appearance, like confident sexuality on display. And I didn't want to be invisible in America. So I became obsessed with status from a very young age. I would put up like these little vision boards of like, this is how I'm going to dress in 9th grade, like a serial killer or a sociopath. I would this is what my personality is going to be like. I'm going to make my hair like this. In 8th grade, I was like messing with different products, skincare routines. I was like, I have to be attractive. I have to be seen as a main character in America. I can't be invisible to the people here. I can't just be like the Indian guy who everyone knows because he studies really hard. And he's like, I wanted to be the Indian guy that people were a little bit like intimidated by. They're like, damn, this guy's fucking cool. I hope he likes me. And I was obsessed with that. So I don't know if I naturally had those qualities in me, but I think your desire for something can force you to become a new thing. You know, have you ever played like Pokemon Sapphire and Ruby?
I did, yeah.
Yeah. So there's a Pokemon called Bagon. Do you know him?
No, I don't.
Okay, Bagon. He's the pseudo legendary Pokemon in that era. He's like a soon to be dragon. But Bagon is like this little circle dude. He's like this little shell guy. Actually, he's a little dinosaur. Shelgon. His middle stage is a little shell guy, and then his final form is Salamence, this gorgeous, beautiful, powerful dragon. And in the evolution from Shelgon to Salamence, the Pokedex says Bagon's desire to fly was so great that it forced a mutation in his body for him to develop wings, because he had this burning desire for wings and to be able to fly, even though he's a little dinosaur dude, like a little ground animal. So I was like, that's actually how I feel. I'm like this little ground animal. Maybe I'm supposed to be a certain way. But can I just through sheer desire, like turn myself into whatever I want? And I think there is like a visualization component to epigenetics. I think your passions, the things that are inside you, can influence the kind of person you become. So I don't know to the degree which I have achieved this, but I feel like I'm on the mission, the journey of becoming the Salamence.
I've totally seen that too. I've seen your mindset. I remember when you ran the marathon in Minnesota a couple months ago.
Yep.
Yeah. I saw how meticulous you are about life. I've seen both sides because Miami's a different story. But I've seen how meticulous you are and how focused you are. And I always wondered where that came from. But why don't we just take a step back and actually go, you know, where did you actually grow up? Were you born in India? Were you born in the United States? Kind of just quickly.
I was born in DC. Actually, I was almost born in India. My mom was very pregnant and my parents had a flight to India. But someone tipped my dad off that like, hey, and having U.S. citizenship is very powerful. Why don't you wait till the baby is born and then go to India? And that whoever that person is, they kind of changed the game for me, right? Because I was born in America. I'm an American. I was a U.S. citizen.
So you could have been an Indian.
I could have been an Indian kid.
Stuck in India right now. Not stuck. But
like even if my parents would have come back to America, but I would have come back never being able to be a citizen of America.
Wow.
I don't think you can you can adopt citizenship in America later in life, but it's kind of hard to do. And also, the way they phrase this is if he's ever going to run for president, he has to be born here. They were joking. I have no interest in such things. But there is something, about like America is one of the superpowers of the world, right? One of the premier nations in terms of its economy.
Yes.
People say all sorts of things now, but like it's still America, right? Like it is.
I mean, I'm a Canadian. I still don't have citizenship or green card here yet.
Yeah. And it would have been a powerful thing to have, right? Yeah.
It would have been.
The industry of America. So I was born in DC. Then my dad, it was his early career. He had me at I think around 26 years old. So we traveled, but by the time I was 5, that's when we stopped moving and I was fully settled in Minnesota where I grew up.
Yeah, where you currently live.
And where I currently live, I went back to.
Huh.
Yeah.
And so what was Minnesota like? What was Minneapolis like? I mean, I was able to go there for the first time this past October for the marathon that we did and hanging out with you. But I mean, what was it like growing up? Like, is it a very like white kind of culture? Is it diverse? Like, how did you? Because you've talked about kind of feeling like an outsider. In the United States. How has that affected you? What was your childhood like for you?
Yeah, I mean, sufficiently enough white. Yeah. I mean, what are the demographics? Something like 70 or 80% white. Well, in the city, it's probably 70%.
But how did it feel for you?
It felt like I was like one of 9 Indian kids in a school with like 3,800 students.
Okay, that's significant.
Yeah. That's what it felt like anyway. It felt like there's not a lot of people who look like me.
Okay.
And I enjoyed it. I mean, I loved growing up in Minnesota and the people were lovely. I have never encountered any racism, anything like that. I don't claim to be a victim of my ethnicity or anything like that. It's kind of awesome being Indian. It's like we dance, we're colorful, we got our own kind of riz. Yeah. but I think I was very aware of just not looking like the in-tribe culture.
Yeah.
Years later, I had taken an acting workshop in Mumbai, and the acting teacher said, "Why do you jitter? Like, why are you so fidgety? You're always jittering. You're always shaking your foot." And I was like, I think it's just because I'm impatient. I love to take action. I just have a lot of energy inside me. And then he says, no, he's like, it's because you're not comfortable being still. And the reason for that is that because you've always stood out. So you always feel like there's all this energy projecting on you because you don't look like, you've grown up your whole life not looking like the people around you. And so as a result, you're always fidgeting because you're not comfortable with yourself. And you feel like this tropical animal, in a place full of snowbirds. And
did you feel that way? Do you feel that way?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
I think to some degree it has never gone away. Even the gym I go to, I have like once or twice seen another Indian dude, but the gym I go to is like this really nice powerlifting gym with kind of like a lot of influencers who work there because it's a very aesthetic place. There's no other Indian guy, at least in Minneapolis, Minnesota. There's one guy, Atharva, he's a good friend of mine, but like really, there's not a lot of like, I think we're just that first generation who are creating a new norm of what the Indian guy, the Indian American man, how he is perceived.
That's really interesting. I mean, for me, I'm half Asian, I'm half Chinese, but I know for my counterparts, my friends that are full Asian, they definitely, I think, feel it a lot more. They feel that sense of like trying to make it in America or in Canada, where I'm from. Like, it does take effort for whatever reason.
And I will say, I don't often see interracial dating in Indian guys, or I would even say at least a lot of the Asian guys that I know. Like, Asian guys are, like 100% Asian guys are dating an Asian girl. And a lot of the Indian guys are just dating an Indian girl, especially the Indian guys. I know one Indian dude who is like in a public relation or like they're with publicly in any capacity with women of other ethnicities.
Holy crap.
Yeah.
So what was that like for you then? Because I know you said you were in a high school, you felt like one of 9 Indian guys.
Yeah.
In a big high school, it seemed like it was a big one.
Yeah.
And then you also went to, what did you do in terms of college? What did you decide to study, and what was that experience like for you?
I went to college. It's like this small private school in northern Minnesota. It's called Northfield, Minnesota. Very hard to get into, like a solid. Yeah. People who know private colleges would have heard of it. It ranks well with some of the like great private schools, but people who know like the accolades of college from public schools probably wouldn't have recognized it. But it was a kind of like it was like I was a competent student.
So you were a good student in
I
high
was a good
school.
student. I got a good
Good GPA.
ACT score, good GPA, good ACT score.
So you were a good Indian boy.
I like fit the parameters of Indian boy in many ways. Yeah, and it was through hard work, but also it was apparent early on that I wasn't one of the great intellects. You know, like these the Indian kids, the Chinese kids. Some of those minds are unbelievable. I think I had the capacity for that, but my interest lied in film and theater, and so I was like A minus student.
Okay.
If you're not a straight A student, you're not really like even baseline. Like you don't hit par if you're
Yeah.
not a straight A student.
Within
And
your community.
Within my community. And then what? I got like a 33, 34 on the ACT. Or like, yeah, it's sort of around a 2200 SAT equivalent, 2100. So like
Pretty
Pretty good, yeah.
Yeah, it's very good.
Yeah, so I went to college for chemistry. Very small school. A little bit more diverse, but actually there were a couple of Indian, an acceptable Indian community there. I had a lot more Indian friends in college, and for the first time, it's a nice thing. You know, people who are of the culture, they don't realize how advantageous it is if you have to speak a second language, to be able to share that language with people. Like a whole different side of my brain is activated by speaking Hindi, and it's a very, very good feeling. I love it. And the music, like liking the same movies. For me, like every girl I've dated, she's like, "Oh my God, do you like I don't know, Bill's Crosby Nash?" Or like, "Oh, my dad and I grew up listening to this 70s band." And I'm like, they're like always like, "How do you not know this song?" I'm like, "I don't know, because my parents are fucking Indian, bitch." Like, shut the fuck up. We don't listen to this shit.
So it was nice to be with people that understood the
Yeah.
culture you came from.
It was.
The music, the movies, the
Yeah.
style.
Yeah. I actually became more integrated with my Indian identity, the Indian side of my identity, in college and beyond. And in high school, maybe I was trying to like play it down a little bit, honestly. So now I feel very proud of both ends of me. But I feel like I also feel like as a 30-year-old man now, I'm kind of like the black sheep in the Indian community. Like, it's very strange. Parents aren't necessarily sure if they want their kids to end up like me. You know, when I was in high school getting the straight A's, they'd be like,
You were on the right path for a while.
Look at brother Nikhil, you want to be like him. Now they're not really sure. He's like an influencer. I rode a motorcycle to get to a wedding, and I just pulled up there, and they were all just like, they don't do things that are like dangerous. Everything they do is very common sense. Like, Indian people are the epitome of hard work and common sense in America. I'm sure it's the same for Chinese culture, Chinese people.
That's what I find really interesting about you, Nikhil, is that you come from a culture that has a certain system and a certain level of expectation. And you also live in a society, which is America, like you mentioned. There's sort of these dual things where America also has a pathway to what success is. And I feel like in both areas, you were able to kind of break the formula, so to speak, which is something that I feel like I've done too. And I think we relate a lot on that in a lot of ways, that we've been, and yourself particularly, you've been able to really pursue your passions and craft your own career over the last couple of years. So I kind of want to get into that over the length of this podcast. One thing I actually want to ask so quickly is so do you think, in terms of dating, do you think college, high school, like where do you think your like philosophy in terms of like dating and manliness came from, I guess? Like, what do you think made the most impact in that area?
My philosophy around dating, I would say more or less is cemented now, like very, very recently. I feel as if I finally understand in general trends how women work in the West.
But let me just I'm going to say a couple titles of some of your videos for those people that have not seen them. So some recent videos, or it might have been in the last year or two, the beta-ization of the modern male. That's number one. Number two, 5 harsh truths men must accept to live their best life. Okay. Another one, third one, you don't have low confidence, you have low value.
Yeah.
And the last one I'll just say is, the rise of weak men.
Yep.
Where's that coming from? Like, where you, what are you observing? Like, and where did that in your life, where did those kind of perspectives really like take hold, would you say?
Part of it came from just the YouTube algorithm and what it influences you to do. But also, I think these topics in general in the culture came for a reason to a degree. People like Andrew Tate, First Man, Hamza, there's a reason they really took over the space. And now Red Pill is like so mainstream. And
for those who don't know, what is red pill in your words? Like, what do you think it is?
my analysis and take of it is more so that a man cannot really be loved unconditionally by anyone except his mother. A man is always loved conditionally. A man is loved for the value he provides. Dating, romance, there is an economy to it. A woman will love you because you are useful to her, because you signify good genetics, or you have proven your ability to protect or amass wealth or provide safety and security and status. And that is why you are valued. And as long as you have those, you will be able to attract the attention of the woman. But it's not because she loves your soul or loves you in your heart, loves you for like the fucking cereal you eat. And she's like, oh, it's so cute, his cereal. Like, a girl may think that over time because just through familiarity, some kind of affection obviously does grow.
Yeah.
And this is just to speak to, I would say, this underlying biology that kind of informs the way women work, because we are evolutionarily, we have minds that are thousands of years old, trying to operate in institutions that are medieval and trying to make them work. And now with technology that's like superhuman. So we're trying to apply like medieval morality and a sense of, like love was invented in the 1800s. Like the idea of a rose and all this stuff was invented pretty recently, right? But evolutionarily is like, holy shit, that caveman is big, strong, and jacked. Like, I think he's about to fuck me. Okay, now we're having a baby. Now this is what's this child is.
Careful, man. I'm gonna get canceled. So let's not be too graphic. No, I'm kidding. Keep going.
Oh, should I tone down?
No, it's fine. It's fine.
Okay. I can go rated PG-13.
Keep going.
Okay, yeah. So all of that thinking has informed. This is not to take away from like a woman being able to appreciate you for your personality today. That is obviously there's many beautiful, sweet women, but in their programming and in the way that we are interacted with, men are valued for their competence. And I would say that's my interpretation of red pill. I don't know if you disagree or...
No, that was one of the best, I think, overviews and most balanced takes on what the red pill community is.
Yeah.
And I think that was pretty well said. So, I mean, for me, I'm not as deeply into it, but I subscribe to a lot of what you said there. I think as I look at my life, I mean, when I was in high school, I didn't have any girls talk to me hardly. And college was like not great either. And so as I advanced in my career, as I advanced in my physique, as I traveled more, as it became more interesting, as I became more socially adept, all those things you talked about, I mean, then I guess we saw it ourselves when we walked into this studio.
Yeah.
We saw groups of 3 different girls seeing us and
kind of looked
positively.
like, I actually still don't know what that is, because I was like, there's no way it could be me. I feel like they were looking at you.
No, I think it was both of us, man. I think they were looking equally at both of us.
Yeah.
And I think it was the energy.
It was really weird because they were not like, especially the girls at the door.
Yeah.
They like opened the door for us.
Yeah, why don't you tell the story of what happened there?
Okay, first we were setting up.
Yeah.
I was about to come join you. I was just picking up a few things. So you came and met me at a coffee shop, and this beautiful mother with her like 1-year-old child started chatting with us in the coffee shop because the baby just was staring Nathan down like so hard.
Staring both of us, but
yes, both of us. But the baby was so interested in us, and that made sense to me because I feel like he was a male baby, like 1-year-old child. Boys have an affinity for men and strength. I remember when I was like 5, and if I saw a guy who was like 17, I would look at him and wonder, like more so than my like grandfather, like because it's like so often it was not very frequently that I would see a guy of that age, like a 17-year-old with like veins in his arms, and he's so much taller than me and all these muscles, and I'm like, and he's so handsome. Like even though I'm already a straight boy at that time, I could see his jawline. I could appreciate the masculinity on display, right? Because I trusted it. I wanted to be, and he was 17-year-olds. They're in shape. They're like lean. My dad and his uncles, they're all like fat as fuck, So like, not my dad actually. He kept it together pretty decently. But like, Indian uncles, they look like shit, So
it's like a role model. It's an aspirational.
It's a role model.
It's a
and I think that baby was looking at us in kind of a role model way, which is kind of goofy because he's only 1. But I think he was. I think he really was. He was, especially, there's so much wonder in his eye. So his mom started talking to us, and she was smiling. It seemed like she wanted...
She was very attractive.
Very
Russian lady.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
She semed like she was wishing Nathan was the husband.
No, I wouldn't say
She was
that.
like, you're the father.
No.
This is your baby, Nathan.
No.
And then we got to the door of the studio, And these three women, they just looked at us completely stunned, like they wouldn't move. And then they opened the door. And then I was like about to walk through. And Nathan was like, go ahead, ladies first. Like, go ahead. And they didn't move. They were just like staring at him. And then I was like, all right, fuck it, let's go. This is getting weird. So then we went. That was the second thing. But then I was like, this is kind of bizarre. Like,
there were a group of girls ahead of us.
Yeah.
And then they opened the door.
And they just waited for us.
Yeah, waited for us to walk through first.
And then in the elevator, as we were coming up, there was also a girl in the elevator. And she just side-eyed. I think it was you this time. But she side-eyed. She turned her head around. She was like, have a good day. She said it to you.
Okay.
And she had like this like embarrassed smile on her face. And she was like looking like this because I was profiled to her. So she was looking like this. She was like just really looking, dude. She cared. So then we got up to the top floor. I was like, dude, have you been like retaining your vital seed, bro? Because I haven't. So so like, how's this happening? You know, it's got to be the magnetism. What have you been up to lately?
No, it is interesting. Yeah, you raise a lot of really interesting points. A lot of these dynamics, I think a lot of the woke people or just the general public, they miss. These dynamics exist. I do believe in that.
Yeah.
I think you raised some really interesting points about how you said men are valued or men are appreciated based on their value or something like that.
Yeah, men are only loved conditionally. They're loved for what they can do for you.
And so how did you feel, let's go back to late high school or college or even your early adulthood post school, like how did you feel? Did you feel like a man of value? Or did you feel like on the opposite end of that stick?
I would say the rules were different. High school, you know, like in high school, I think beauty mattered.
Okay.
So I was a tall, handsome kid in high school. I had a lot of attention, but I also was very disciplined, and I wasn't allowed to date, and I was like afraid of my dad. So
You were conservative.
I was conservative and kind of a religious child, actually.
Yeah.
So I had a lot of attention by my senior year of high school, especially. But I just didn't act on it. I didn't do anything. I lost my virginity when I was like 20, almost 21 years old. So kind of later than the average kid in my school, probably. And then by college, it was about the same, and my behavior was the same. But a little bit of alcohol came into the picture in college. So I basically, like, as a result of that, hooked up with a few girls, but nothing crazy. And then after college is when I first began to perceive what the reality of red pill is. I think once you're a grown man, you know, like after 20 years old, then you understand the world for what it is, which is like, I think more or less my experience with women has taught me that I do have like above average looks. Like I think so, because otherwise I've been treated too well despite not having that much going for me. So like, I don't think I had disinterest from women when I was 25, but I think you can speak to this as well. Now, my looks don't matter that much. I would say I'm sure I'm still perceived as good looking by many. I've heard this from women. Hopefully I'm not just speaking like a fucking arrogant douchebag, but like I have heard this. So I think I'm probably good looking, but I don't think
You're above average for sure.
Yeah. But it doesn't carry weight. You know, it doesn't carry nearly as much weight as it once did. I think any attention that I've gotten now is because I'm relatively fit and I seem like I lead an interesting life.
And so, you're an influencer.
Yeah.
And you drive a Porsche and you got your own property, your own place. I mean, it's Minneapolis.
Yeah. I am above average in a few different categories of existence, and that's why I get attention now. But there were a few years where I feel like it wasn't enough, you know, especially like 25.
Yeah, let's dig into that. Yeah. Like college, early adulthood, coming out of college. Like how was that? How did that feel?
One time I was 25. I was 22 and I moved to LA. Interest died. I was a 22-year-old school teacher in LA. No one gave a fuck.
Let's dig into that, actually. Yeah. So you were in Minneapolis. You grew up in Minneapolis for most of your life.
Yeah.
You wanted some sun.
I wanted to be an actor.
Well, let's dig into that. What happened there? So what happened? You did college. You studied chemistry.
My parents forced me to be a science major. They just forced it to happen.
Okay, so you had to. You didn't want to be.
I told my mom I wanted to go to drama school, and she says, like, that'd be so embarrassing for me if my son went to drama school. But I got accepted by some good places. You know, I got accepted to the same program as like Michael Fassbender and Tom Hardy and some of these and Emilia Clarke. You know, like I've got accepted by some schools in London, and that's not easy to do. I didn't even audition that much. So had I auditioned, I was talented. I got the leads in all the plays as soon as, like, I was new to the school. I would get the lead in the play.
You're talking about high school? College?
High school. In college, too, but like, yeah, high school was actually more rigorous than college because so many students. Imagine a school with 3,800 students, let's say 150 people audition, you instantly get the lead. I was definitely talented as an actor.
Yes.
And, but I wasn't allowed to pursue it. So I was very depressed. I was borderline suicidal for like 2 weeks, in my...
Because your parents forced you to do science.
Yeah, because I just wasn't
couldn't
that
do your
good.
passion.
I wasn't that good at science. Like chemistry is a hard subject.
Yeah, for sure.
If you can love it, then it's a joyous to learn. The reason I picked chemistry is because it is the theater of the science world. You got electrons and protons. There's like a story of interaction happening there that I found fascinating. But if I really could major in anything, it'd be like film production or theater, Years later, I told my dad that because we had 1 month where we finally broke 6 figures in a month. It only happened twice in my whole career. And I sent him the Stripe account. And I was like, imagine had you invested in my acting career. I made $100,000 in a month. I made just about as much as you make in a year in a month through fucking acting.
You alphaed your dad.
I did.
Out of revenge, or what happened?
Yeah, just revenge, because I fucking hated him,
Wow.
Yeah. I've even said this to you in person, because you've met my parents, but I was like, I fucking hate them.
Well, I'm sure you love them now.
No, of course there's so much that they did for me that I love, but I don't have a good relationship with my parents. I strongly dislike both of them. So,
dang, that's strong to say, man. That's strong. That's strong.
I know.
I went over to your parents' place for dinner. I think you guys have.
Dude, you don't know. No, I mean, you can edit this out because I know it's your podcast, but
no. I'm not editing unless you want to.
No. I have no fear. I have no fear to say it. I don't mind saying it. It's like I've said this to their faces. You got a blip of an interaction with them.
Okay.
But to a strong degree, they're the people they could be, and they did a lot for me. And they're incredible people, both of them.
Yeah.
My dad went from as a poor village boy in India. There's no reason that the reason I grew up with
So
any
what?
amount
So then he came here?
He came to, now he's a senior software engineer here. To go from a village with no electricity to here takes a remarkable man. And my dad is remarkable. I've never seen, he can outwork me. My dad will always be a greater man than I, more alpha, more whatever. He's a great, great man, but we're not like friends, and I don't like him. And I understand. I don't know. I hope it doesn't put a blight on this podcast episode.
No, it doesn't matter. To me, it doesn't matter. It's just being honest.
Yeah. But some people don't have good relationships with their parents, right? And I feel like they deserve to know that they're not the only person like them. Every time I would see someone give an Oscar speech, I couldn't have done this without my parents' support. I couldn't have done this. My parents were so supportive. I always heard that. And my parents just told me I sucked at everything and just told me I was fucking shitty and just always yelled at me. So
I get that. So is the absence of their support in moments when you needed them.
I needed them. Especially my dad. I needed him so badly. And
when was this? In high school, college, throughout your...
Even now, he doesn't believe in me for me. The only reason he believes in me is because he's already seen some amount of success. If you're an investor, yes, you want to look at past success, right?
Yeah.
Because you're an investor. Be okay, they did this much in revenue last year. Okay, let me invest in them. But if you're a dad and your son says, I want to do this, I can do this, I'm really good at this, this is what I love, and your dad's there's no shot. I understand why he did it, because logically it made sense. But maybe sometimes when it's your kid and you know that you're a special man, you went from poverty in India to America, maybe your son can do this impossible thing too. Maybe he's got that thing inside him, and my dad never saw it. And I don't know if he still sees it, So it was really important for me to send him the $100,000 Stripe account thing, because I needed him to know that he was wrong about me. And he's admitted it since, but it's just challenging. They're very strong people.
So do you feel in high school and college, I keep going back because I'm trying to understand the origination story for who Captain Sinbad is.
Right.
Both as a persona and a real life person.
Yes.
So you felt no one believed in you. You were alone, both within your Indian community and your parents, as well as in the outer Minnesota community you were in.
Yes.
America.
Yeah. I wasn't alone in America, but I stood out. It was this weird combination of not being validated by my father, standing out here and feeling kind of weird, and just also worrying that I wouldn't be seen as a main character. I'd be seen as the funny side character who comes in his pants. based on that audition.
You're talking about in real film?
In America, just like,
Or you're saying in your life?
in my life, I was like, I hope the way I'm getting auditions, I hope this isn't the way everyone sees me, just because I'm Indian. I hope they don't think that I'm like a dork, right? Just because I'm Indian. I'm nerdy.
Dude, that is traumatic.
Yeah.
That's crazy if you think about it. That you're doing these auditions, this is your dream, and you're doing these characters that are dorks.
Yep.
Those are the only takes you're getting.
Yep. Yeah, it was either the dork or like even other stuff would weird me out, like it'd be like he's a doctor, he's a banker. It was always a professional. That's cool. That's cool.
You couldn't be the movie star. You couldn't.
Yeah,
just
but
be the
I was
hotshot.
never. I could never be the bad boy on a motorcycle. The guy who like takes the girl out and he's like, like there's always a bully in the movie. The Indian guy was never the bully, at least in my era. He was never like Flash Gordon or something, or Flash Thompson from the Spider-Man universe. Like he was always like the guy you never had to worry about, the friend, the dork, the doctor, or the professional he has no personality. He's just the professional.
You felt like impotent almost.
Yes.
I use that word.
Absolutely.
You didn't have any power to you.
Yeah. I wanted to be dangerous. Definitely. I think a lot of that is now manifesting in my 30s. These displays of whatever is now manifesting. In my
The
30s.
last couple of days in Miami. We won't get into that in this podcast. We were clean fun, nothing crazy, but yeah, this guy can go hard. He goes hard. It's pretty impressive. I don't know, Nikhil. I kind of have a theory. I almost feel like Captain Sinbad was your outlet. Because you were like, we'll get into the last leg, I guess, before you launched the channel, the LA story and then your job, because you weren't able to make it at that point in your career.
Yep.
But I almost wonder if Captain Sinbad is literally kind of like your alter ego. You're channeling that desire to be the man, but you just couldn't do it in reality. And then you had to kind of make that, and then it did become your reality. I don't know if that makes sense, what I'm saying.
There's so much I might not have been able to do or explore about myself or realize if it weren't for the channel, because I want to be better and I want to be impressive in real life because of the audience. I want to lead by example. I don't want to just be a YouTuber who talks. I don't want to be just someone who talks about how to change your life in 6 months, like wake up early, drink a glass of water. Like I don't want writing self-help books to be the way I became successful. Not that I have, I'm just saying as a reference. And so because of the audience, I now feel this immense burden to do something great and be somebody. I always say, if you want to be a great influencer, you need to be amazing at something else. The something else needs to be the main thing. And the influence you acquire is deserved. A lot of people who get fame and fortune, but they never did anything it's circular in nature. Their success eats itself because they became successful because of the content about success.
Right.
I feel as if they lived in this immense existential crisis all the time.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And so you want to do real things in the world. Like you've liquidated a very successful company before you were 30. You will always have that. You will always be able to identify as a successful businessman because you did something that 99.999% of people before 30 could do. Most entrepreneurs, if they make it, it's probably like 37, 40, because you got to try and fail a couple times before you figure out how this whole thing works. You figured that out early, It's
all relative though, man. I mean, Zuckerberg was a billionaire, multi-billionaire by the time he was like early 20s.
Yeah, there's always going to be Zuckerberg, but
it doesn't feel like a lot.
You
relative.
beat the odds to a great degree. If you just look at the raw statistics, you're a very special person. And the way your mind works is so different from mine, right? You love business and the numbers. You love the numbers. And that's definitely not how I function,
Nikhil, the thing I respect about you is coming from the business world. There's a lot of people, they're passionate about the numbers, they can do the analytics, but you're just a creator. Like I love that aspect of business, of entrepreneurship, and you are a pure creator. You really take joy in creating something that people love. And I really think that's great. That's why honestly, like I kind of left like the big investment banking type roles, like working at those big investment houses and financial firms, because it's like I just didn't feel the heart of it.
Right.
And I've always veered towards entrepreneurship. And even now, like I'm thinking in my career of actually kind of catering a lot of my time to helping creators. Because creators, the good thing about them is successful creators, it's a good business model, scalable.
Totally.
But sometimes creators need that business structure to help them take it to the next level. We see that with like Alex Hormozy and stuff like that. Like he's excellent on the operational and financial side. And yeah, so I think that's really interesting. Yeah. So I think what you're doing is great.
I appreciate it, man. And I love having you on these experiences with me because I do feel like you cover a lot of my blind spots. And I think for you, at least I've been able to get you to think a little bit more like a creator. And it seems like you enjoy it and you're curious about it too. So that's been lovely to see. I feel like we fill each other's gaps a little bit. And so maybe that's why we're getting all the stares, is because the combined effect of that is very potent.
So what do you mean by that though? So like what gaps? Like just in terms of the business acumen or financial analysis or other aspects?
I mean,
too?
I just don't care about business. I just don't care about it. And the only reason I care about money is because I need it to make great videos.
So wait, let me before you let's take a step back here. So wait, how much money is the channel actually, like if you don't mind sharing, how much money is it going to make this year? Or at least revenue?
Last year I think we did $500,000 in gross revenue. And it's a team of 6. Not everyone's full time, and some people are paid on commission. So, if $500,000 is a good number, but
and that's just from the channel. That's not, you're not working. So this is your full time.
Oh yeah, full time from the channel, $500,000.
Okay.
In gross revenue, and we'll probably do more this year. The year prior to that, I think I did 200, and the year prior to that, I think I did 100, and the year prior to that, I did 40. So like. No, it was really crazy. I went from like doing like 10K a year on YouTube to 100 like in 1 year just because the growth was so much. And then it went, 2 to 10 to 20K per month on average. So now it has more or less doubled every year, bro. Like that's kind of fucking crazy.
That is crazy.
Yeah, it's almost like year over year. This is now I'm entering year 5 doing this. Or year 6 actually, and so every year it's more or less doubled. It's like 500 this year, around 200 the year prior, around 100 prior to that. Yeah,
dude, that's insane.
So maybe I'll do $1 million this year if the numbers stay accurate.
That's what I'm thinking, man. I think your business can go to 7 figures. I know we've had a good chance to talk a little bit about some of the business lines you're working on, the projects, and how to maximize not only the top line revenue, but to kind of get the costs under control.
Yep,
because it can be expensive
making
this if you're not managing it.
Yep.
Yeah, I think you can.
I think we can. Yeah,
but you're saying you don't care about money. So that's the question I have is, on the one hand, this business has been wildly successful. Some people might say you were successful overnight, but obviously 5 or 6 years in, that's a lot of work that you're putting in. So I want to make that clear.
And then 15 years before that as a failed actor, like
exactly
auditioning. A lot of that skill does transfer over to YouTube. I've been speaking and saying words, and we were doing tongue twisters before this started, right? I can power through any tongue twister, which is kind of a goofy flex, but I can do it, right? My diction is good.
Yes, that's
so
correct.
A lot of that helped also.
But you don't care. You're saying you don't really care about business or the money side as much, but you've still been able to grow this business and lead a team throughout the years. So
yeah.
How does that work?
It has all been accidental.
Okay.
It's very simple because everyone loves to talk to me about business, but it's been really simple for me. If I just keep making videos and if I make them as good as I can every week and I make them all the time and I work on it all the time, everything works out. That's all it's been. I have never thought about I've never led with money. I was like, how can I make the next dope video that I want to make? And it's really a quantity game. Like the more I make, the more successful I become. It's just that sometimes now things have gotten more complicated. Sometimes it takes me a full month to get one video out. But so far, I've made 326 videos on my channel over the last 5 years. In the last year, I made 33 videos. And I could probably tell you I'm probably 100 videos away from the next insane breakthrough in my life. Every 100 videos, my life changes. I believe in the quantity, quality will change your life. And that goes for anything.
I love that nugget you raised. It's it shows how much work you have to invest to scale a content engine. For me, I'm new to this game right now, right? I used to have a YouTube channel when I was 18. That was 13 years ago.
Yeah.
But anyhow, I love that rule that you're talking about. 100 videos. Every 100 videos, you're going to see dramatic change. But you got to do 100 videos. A lot of people don't do 100 videos. It might take them 2-3 years to do 100 videos.
Exactly, yeah.
So it shows the amount of work that's required. And it's not just doing 100 videos once. It's doing it multiple times. And each time, you get a huge uptick eventually.
It's what makes life so much fucking fun. You know, we feel like we've lived for so long. Now I'm finally starting to get this feeling like I've been alive for so fucking long, dude. I know it's kind of a strange thing to say.
How old are you actually?
Almost 31. I'll be 31 in 2 months. But we're only 30. We're only 31, bro. You know, and I've only been a YouTuber for 5 years. And like we have like, you know what, 30 good years left? Like 30 great years left,
easily,
where we're young men. Like I'll be a young man at 60. What if we just keep learning and keep like people? For some reason, people stop after a while.
Yes.
Like my dad, he stopped at 35. He stopped like trying to improve himself. You know, he had a software engineering job. He was my father. I get it. He got busy. Like that's a lot of work. You get busy. But if you just if you're just interested in getting better every single year, over 30 years from now, we'll be like insane. I've only been lifting properly for 2 years. My body looks insanely different in just 2 years. Like, holy fuck.
Yeah, you're absolutely ripped now.
But it's like we get to work out for another 30 years, dude. Like 40 years. We're gonna get fitter and fitter every year. You know, like it's so much fun to keep getting better. There's so much joy in it. 2 years ago I couldn't motorcycle. Now I motorcycle like I don't fucking care at all. You know. 2 years ago, I'd never skydived before. Now I can confidently do a jump and not like just be dying of anxiety. Skydiving, me, the guy with I just never saw it. You know, I'm so curious to see.
You're becoming that badass you always wanted to be.
Yeah.
You're becoming that main character.
I'm forcefully trying to become dangerous the way I hoped I'd been perceived, but I'm making it happen, you know?
You could have been an NPC in this video game.
Yeah, I could have.
You broke out.
What's been your transformation? You know, because I'm sure there's been a year now you know, I only met you when you're more or less like fully formed, but I'm curious. There must
we're never fully formed, right?
Yeah,
Always developing.
There must have been a crazy evolution that you went through as well.
Yeah, I think for me, just this main focus is on you today, but for me, some really important things that happened in my life was my first decision was right after college to do a 6-month backpacking and motorcycle trip by myself in South America. And that was an incredible trip because it basically taught me that I could survive on anything. I didn't have a lot of money. I bought a really cheap motorcycle in Chile, Santiago, Chile. And I crossed the Andes Mountains. I was going through villages in Argentina, Brazil, Uruguay. Like some parts were super rural, very poor. Some parts were obviously nice cities. But I basically just kind of did this crazy trip. And that trip really helped me overcome fear and also realize that I could do whatever I wanted. I don't know how to explain it.
Yeah.
I didn't have to follow a path. I didn't have to follow a schedule. When I was on that bike, I was just doing whatever I wanted as a 23-year-old boy. And I was like, wow, what else can I do? It kind of made me realize that being in the uncertainty, which I think what entrepreneurship also is, being in the uncertainty, you can actually get kind of comfortable in that in a good way.
Yeah.
You can get used to that. You can say, hey, actually, I feel I'm weird. I'm in this foreign land. I'm on a motorcycle. There's trucks going by carrying soy in Argentina. You could kill me at any point.
Yeah.
The wind could turn me. But I was like, dude, I'm doing it. I'm doing it every day. It feels uncomfortable, but maybe I can do this in other areas of my life too.
Yeah, there's no limitations on what we can do. It's really cool.
Right?
Yeah, but it's scary to try.
Can you imagine doing that? I mean, can you imagine flying? Imagine I buy you a ticket right now to Santiago, Chile. I don't even know if you can put it to it on a map. Can you? I don't know if you can.
I don't think so.
It's at like the bottom cone of
South America.
South America, and it's on the Pacific Ocean.
Right.
It's right there, Santiago, Chile. So
Yep.
I buy you a ticket, and then I also gave you a receipt for a motorcycle that I just purchased for you.
Yeah.
Would you go do it?
I think I'd have to.
And I just give you a map all the way, 6,000 miles, 10,000 kilometers to Rio de Janeiro.
Now that you said it like that, I think I maybe wouldn't have taken you up on it before.
Okay.
And I'd be annoyed that you put me through this. Like I'd be like, fuck, dude, I don't want to do this. Like I'd be scared to do it, but I would have to. I would hope I survive like you did.
But how would you feel about that?
Terrified, dude. Yeah. Terrified.
Yeah. Yeah. That's how I felt too.
Yeah.
That's exactly how I felt. But for some reason, I felt like I had to do that.
That's so amazing that you
Yeah.
put yourself through that.
Yeah.
I'm sure that changed everything, informed all your decisions.
It laid a foundation. Let's just say that that didn't just transform me and I became some alpha or something like that, right? But it really laid a foundation of like independence and courage, and that was really, really interesting. Obviously, from that point on, I went to work at a corporate job. It's a company called Macquarie. It's an investment firm. So I was working in their like private equity, private investment group. They invested in mining companies. They traded gold, silver, copper. Really interesting company.
Yeah.
But I'm working in a cubicle in Toronto on the 41st floor in one of the best buildings, Brookfield Place. But still, you know, I felt like I was trapped again. Dude, imagine you're literally spending months in foreign countries, beautiful nature. You're on a motorcycle, you're free. And then suddenly you get this great job and you're wearing a tie and a suit and you feel great for the first couple months. But then you realize you're like, I'm kind of enslaved. No matter how much I'm getting paid, I'm enslaved. That's what I felt.
Crazy.
Yeah, dude.
Crazy.
Kind of like how maybe like, I guess for you, you know, you were kind of not enslaved, but you were kind of trapped within a certain cultural norm, cultural expectation, whether from your parents or community.
I was, yeah.
And you had to break out of that. That's how I kind of felt in corporate world.
And you did. You really did in a big way.
Yeah. All right. Well, let's go back to that last segment in your life then, if we could, because you said you left this college degree in chemistry.
Yeah.
So then what? Because that kind of reminds me of what I did after college. Like
Yeah.
I did that crazy motorcycle trip. My mom was so upset. I had to like turn off my phone for a little bit and just go in my zone.
Yeah.
And just ignore my parents and just do this because they did not want me to do this. But what about you? How was it for you?
Yeah. So after college, I told my parents, like, I'm not going to go be a doctor. That was a very painful thing for them, crazy painful. And then I moved to LA to try to be an actor. It was very hard. I had some auditions.
Dude, tell me more about that. How did that happen though? So you told your parents you don't want to be a doctor. You're not going to study for the what's it called? The MCAT or whatever?
The MCAT. My dad forced me to take it.
Okay.
One thing, yeah, it was very hard for me to have my parents like change the plan. Like I remember doing all these like medical internships in college so that I could get into med school, and the doctors who would be like I was shadowing them.
Yeah.
They'd be like, "You don't want to be here. It's very obvious to me. Like, you got this internship because you were the best candidate because you like work hard, but we could have given this to someone who wants to be here." And you don't have to do, like, you can tell your parents, like, there's a lot of great careers out there. You don't have to be a doctor.
Wow.
And I was like, I don't know, I can't. So it was like a huge, my dad was heartbroken. Like, but I now thinking about it, I'm kind of mad thinking about like the fact that we're forcing me to be a doctor so hard. Like, it's kind of wild. There's so many great careers out there, but they're like, doctor is the only thing. And my dad didn't talk to me for 5 years. Like, he wouldn't speak to me. He wouldn't say words to me. He would pick me up from the airport and just not say anything.
Since when you graduated college and you decided not to do the not to do the med school.
Exactly.
So what happened? So he stopped talking to you?
Stopped, like, pick me up, no dialogue, no comment, the bare minimum. He was embarrassed of me. And
then from that point on, what did you do? You said, hey, I'm going to screw you guys. I'm going to fly to LA.
yeah.
Is that what you did?
Yeah. And then I flew to LA,
And how was that conversation?
It was terrible. But ultimately, when they realized I couldn't change my mind, they did help me. Like, they did ship a car out to me and they let me borrow one of the cars. So I can't say it was like a merciless thing from them. They did their best. But I wasn't successful in my 3 years in LA. And then I came back very embarrassed.
Let's dig into that. I'm actually really curious though. So you went to LA for 3 years.
Yep.
Right out of school.
Yeah.
So how did you survive? What were you doing? What was your plan?
So my day job was as a chemistry teacher at a private school. If it's private school, you don't need a teaching license. Okay. So I was 22 teaching these like 16-year-old students about chemistry.
That's pretty impressive.
Yeah, it was cool. It was a lot of hard work, but it did develop me for sure. And then in the evenings and weekends, I would give auditions to the best of my ability. But it was very stressful because sometimes I would have to drive across the city to an audition, but then get back in time to teach a class. And like maybe I'm running late, so I need another teacher to cover me. And I'm like texting about it in the car as I'm trying to drive back from this audition that I didn't even book or whatever it might be. So I just gave up after a while, came home at 25 years old, now feeling kind of old to be like at home with my parents and like not really having saved any money in the past 3 years. I felt like I just lost 3 years of my life and didn't accomplish anything.
I'm sure you don't make much as a teacher, and then in LA have to have
barely
expensive.
made it. Barely survived.
Living costs are super high.
Paycheck to paycheck. And Yeah, you don't know what you don't know. Now, if I were to go about it, I'd do it so differently.
You
Yeah,
would have gone straight into content, right? Or what would you have done?
yeah. Well,
Yeah. Or maybe not.
it's tough to say. I don't know what would have been possible because the time to start is when you're like 15. You know, I should have gone to drama school first thing first.
Yeah.
It would have been ideal. So
Your dad, man, your dad really, he missed that one.
imagine he spent $200,000 on my college education because my Carleton's it's $50,000 a year school.
Jeez.
He could have spent 30 grand to send me to drama school for 3 years, and that would have been, I mean, I guess in the cost of living in a city for 3 years as well. Or I could have just taken a loan. I would have done that for sure. But if he already is willing, if he's willing to spend $200,000 on a degree that I don't use today, I don't care about, he could have invested so much less to just helping me chase my dreams, and he didn't.
And the time and everything.
The time, yeah, the 5 most productive years of my life, you know, like 18. As an actor, it's best if you start young. So if I had started when I was 18, it would have made a dramatic difference on my life today. Like I would have booked something by now for sure. I know I would have stood out, but I probably just sound super petty saying all this.
No, it's interesting. It's an interesting story.
Yeah,
It's unique, actually.
yeah. So I was 25. I started learning. I knew I needed to make money, so I started learning software engineering online on my own through some like boot camps, and I got a coding job after about a year of study, making 70 grand a year, fully remote. That was enough. That was
In
enough-
Minneapolis.
In
you come
Minneapolis,
back.
yeah, that was enough of the base that I needed to then go after the main thing, and I just started working on YouTube on the side, and so
So this is what, like 2017, 2018?
2018 is when my first video on the channel. My first year I got 6,000 subscribers.
Dang. So your first year, 6,000.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. In the first year. But then the second year I went from 6,000 to 180,000. So it speeds up when I started studying YouTube is the big thing. I started studying how YouTube worked and started making better videos, trying to improve video over video. And that's how that success came. And damn. It's kind of funny. I never reflect on all this.
Exactly. Yeah, I don't think you have, man.
No.
You've been living so fast.
Yep.
You're always just moving to the next video.
I am, yeah.
Your life becomes a movie, but then it's like a movie you can't
But
rewind.
also, my life makes a lot of sense when you look back at it. Like, oh, I was like that, so that's why I'm like this. You like when you think about it, like makes sense. I am the way I am. Like it runs very deep.
That's what I'm trying to figure out with this podcast. Yeah, it's really interesting. It's fascinating.
Yeah.
Because you are a very unique person, I felt.
yeah.
Yeah, you're unconventional.
Yeah. Neither are you. Well, I'm guessing we're coming down to the wire.
Are we? No, I think we're good. Yeah, I think we'll continue.
Oh,
If
sick.
you're good.
No,
You're feeling
I'm
okay.
great. I didn't
I
want
feel
to.
like it's getting interesting.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, I'm glad. I just didn't want to be
Yeah.
racing against the clock.
So yeah, how's this feeling for you right now? Like going through, reflecting back, like you were mentioning that you've never really reflected on this level to connect the dots.
It feels kind of amazing. It feels
Yeah.
kind of incredible because I'm not perfect. Also, my relationship with this whole traumatic backstory to my life has created some like negative characteristics within me. Also, like a dark side to me, a very strong dark side, and it's led me to hurt people as well. And so, I wish it would have been better if I had been a little bit more like I guess a well-adjusted kid. But it has also created a pretty strong drive, and in many ways,
But when you're talking about hurting people, are you talking about like, yeah? What do you mean by that though?
basically, I just like have serially used women as like a way of validating myself,
Okay.
and like cheated on a girl a bunch. Like a woman I was dating who was very, very, very sweet and didn't deserve it. Just to like, it's like when boxing, you jab to know where the enemy is. I had this like insatiable, for me, it was very linked, this insatiable need for more success and more status, but also like validation from women as a whole. There's just this incredible insecurity. Like, am I attractive? Just because I'm Indian or just because I was raised this kind of way? Hopefully that doesn't mean that I'm like not welcome into society. So like this constant, just led to like incessant lying and cheating
Wow.
in a lot of ways. Yeah. And
In your mid-20s.
mid-20s, late 20s, even like 2 years into the channel. And then I really realized that was a problem a couple years ago, just because I was like doing stuff that was not okay. And I mean, nothing crazy. Not that
Yeah.
I was just cheating. I was just like hooking up with different girls. or pursuing them even, And
You're a bit reckless.
I was a little reckless, yeah.
Yeah.
And I was doing it for the wrong reasons. People were getting emotionally hurt. People would people would fall in love with me, and then they would realize that I was like full of shit. So a lot, and I think that entirely comes from like this horrible traumatic feeling I had inside me. My parents never abused me, but I never felt like I was enough. So I just needed this constant proof, and that's a lot of where that's how it manifested negatively. But on the positive end, it did give me almost like this unspeakable drive, like this persistent ability to just keep reinventing myself and trying hard at life. So now I'm trying to take the best of it and also like live with honor. That's been a journey of like 2 years getting to this point. And it's tough because now that the temptation is higher than ever, like my options are more than ever. For the first time.
So now you have value.
I do.
Legitimate value now.
Yeah, which I should use it as an opportunity, honestly, to step out of the game. Because I feel fully validated by women now.
What do you mean by that, though? Step out of the game?
Like, stop being a player, basically.
Dang, okay.
Which is how I sort of have been a little bit.
So you don't subscribe to just being like Tate, kind of just getting girls because you're a man, whatever, masculine?
I think it just hurts people. And it devalues, even if you're being honest with them, like this is casual, this is casual, this is casual. I think our bodies know that there is something sacred about sex. And so it hurts people. All this oxytocin gets released and women get attached. They think you got them pregnant. Like their bodies like, this dude got me pregnant, and then you leave. It's like they create all these abandonment issues. You're just creating all these like micro traumas, and you're like causing the fall of society. And this girl could have been with some like 5 out of 10 guy who would have treated her really well. But instead, she's going after this 8 out of 10 guy who's like going to just leave her. And now neither the 5 out of 10 guy is happy, neither the girl is happy. And the player is also not happy because he's juggling way too many women. He's just tired all the time. Derek knows all about that, bro.
D-Rock.
Yeah.
Dude, this is real.
Over there.
No, I mean, this is real. This is a real conversation. I feel like, this is a lot of observations that we're starting to see as a society, like how things function now versus how they used to be. And just, it's just pretty wild. Yeah. It's really wild. I mean, you kind of alluded to it. Like basically right now, it seems like the 5 out of 10s who 50 years ago would easily have a girlfriend in their town are pretty much ignored.
Yeah.
And we've all been there. We've all been whatever.
Totally.
5 out of 10, 6 out of 10, whatever it is.
Yeah,
we've all been there. We know what it feels like.
And we're going to go back to that at some point, right? Like at some point, even as a man, your value starts to go down, right? Like we're going to
we're going to be ripped. We're going to be fit at 60. We're going to be good. We'll have our beautiful kids. We'll have our grandkids. We'll be good.
Yeah, yeah.
At that point, it won't matter.
So that's what I mean by getting out of the game. Like you got to get out of the game also because you don't want. It's also
when you peak, you want to. It's like you retire when you're at your peak. Almost.
Yeah, you want to hold on to the peak for a while, and I think a good woman will just make you better. Family will make you better. It'll make society strong as well. The children are healthy when there's mom and dad love each other and they take care of them.
Yeah, so strong family unit.
That's what we should strive for. Just like pick one woman, take great care of her. Stop trying to get all this validation from women. Like, yeah, maybe she would fuck you, bro. You don't need to explore it just because it's always there. Like, you don't need to always try to figure that side of things out. You can look at a girl and like not try to cold approach her or sleep with her. Yeah, you have to decide where you are on this journey with all that.
Dude, that's very wise. I love how you're like accepting the reality of how society is and the women male dynamic, but you're kind of like, no, like I don't even need to follow this red pill game. You're like, I'm already past that, or you're getting to that point.
Yeah, I haven't left it yet.
Okay.
But I am.
You haven't hung up your boots yet.
But I know that my expiration date is coming, and I'm gonna step out of. By step out of it, I mean I'm just gonna settle down.
Okay.
And I'm not gonna like date multiple women forever, because I know it's not good. But I think until for a season of your life, I think it's okay. But now I'm trying to field more seriously. You know, I'm not just trying to like get validation. I'm trying to field for the potential of something greater also.
So like the thirst trap Instagram posts, you're not trying to get validation.
Dude, it's really crazy. I don't do the thirst trap thing anymore, but I feel like I was last year, you know? And I don't even mean thirst trap like shirtless
Yeah.
photo, even though I have done a few of those.
Just cool high status.
Just trying to
photos.
show off how high status you are all the time.
Yeah.
I've reduced it quite a bit because
Well, what color is your Bugatti? No, I'm kidding.
yeah, I don't know. So some people care about the Bugatti level status,
Yeah, some people want that.
but I told you, like for me also, I don't think Bugattis create status. I think feelings create status, which is why artists have the most status in society. Like Andrew Tate is not as valuable as Drake, right? At the end of the day, Andrew Tate
Dang.
is just some dude who talks.
Dang.
Yeah.
No disrespect, but
yeah, but like artists artists have always been the most valuable members of modern society because in a world like there is economy, right? Like there is exchange of bread for oil or whatever it might be. But
there's resources.
in this human experience, we also want to really feel. And the use of money ultimately is to secure your future, but also so that you can feel things, you know, like great art and true inspiration really only comes from art and conversation. And the artists, I mean, there's no competition, right? You take a girl and make her choose between the artist she loves the most, like he just does it for her, like the rock star. There's no competing with the rock star because that's emotion, right? We lead with emotion.
So you're saying the musicians, like they have
musicians have the most status in society.
D-Rock.
That's why
D-Rock's-
D-Rock. That's why D-Rock's dude. It's hard for him to settle down, bro. It's very difficult. Multiple baby mamas, just a lot of overhead.
Oh no. Oh no. We'll get into that in a future podcast. No, I'm kidding. That is wild. That is wild. But it's true. He's a rock star. So
He is.
that
He's a rock star.
global rock star.
I
Okay.
know.
So you're saying the artists, they make it. What were you saying? Yeah. What was the point there?
The point of that is like, I think the original point we're trying to make is that like, you do with time going by, you do generate more value. You do become more valuable. You get more options.
Yes.
But you ultimately want to step out of the game, and I think the right woman can elevate you. I think it's the original point we were trying to make and all that. Yeah.
I agree with that 100%. And I'm definitely on that path. Yeah.
Yeah.
Right now.
What is your
Yeah.
relationship with your own sense of status right now? And what is your relationship with public validation?
Yeah, I think that's a really good question. I personally I don't necessarily just want to have a following just for following. Like for me, I've always felt, if you could say it this way, I feel like my art or my cinematography has always been ideas, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So I've always loved to really study a topic, whether it be finance, economics, politics, whatever it is. I've always liked to do that, come up with interesting ideas and to share them with others.
Yeah.
That's what I love to do. So I think that's the noble goal. The noble goal is to provide ideas that can help. And I think you've done that too with some of your videos. Provide ideas, provide advice, provide depth in the content.
Right.
I think the challenge is that obviously there's always temptation to just get your ego stroked. And that's my fear about coming into this game. I've been on the sidelines for a bit. Is like I'm worried that I'm going to always be thinking at in the next post, I'm just trying to maximize views because that's what's quantifiable. Or I'm trying to maximize my validation or my likes or positive comments, or it could be attention from girls, attention from whatever.
Yeah.
That's what I'm worried about. I'm worried about the media side of the empire I'm trying to build affecting my character, really. Yeah. So how's that been for you? How have you felt? Has it corrupted you?
I think more than ever, I would say it hasn't. It's just there's been this incredible exploration of myself because I genuinely love it. I love, like, we're working on this video together this whole week, and I just love what's coming out. Even the little Havana footage we got last night. I just think it's just so delicious. It creates such a personalized character. People who are only into making videos or any kind of content for the money, if you're only in it for the money, then there's a staleness that's there. And it's also just, it feels like work. But if you're in it to explore something and especially make people feel something, like the way a rock star might, then it's just so much fucking fun. And it feels great to go the extra mile. So more than ever, I have been trying to go the extra mile, and it's just so much fun. And maybe that's the only reason why I'm still at 580,000 subscribers, because I've seen some of my contemporaries just focus on the views, and it has worked. Like, it works when you really try to optimize for the numbers. It works because sometimes people can't tell, and so they grow past you. They become more successful than you, but it's just an illusion, right, dude? It's just a number. It creates money, it creates revenue, but you can make revenue. So for me, more than anything, it's like, yes, I would love to get to 1 million subscribers, and I would love to.
I'm sure you will
do a lot of conventional things related to the success of being a creator. But what I'm most curious about is like, dang, how many videos can I make that it's just gonna like people are gonna be like moved by? Like, I want to be moved by my own video. At least in the last year, I can say at least with like 10 to 20 videos, I'm like, I watch it even to this day. I'm like, fuck, dude, I made that. There's a pride in sharing that with people. If you're just doing it like robotic for the numbers, then you don't feel proud of it. You're like, oh yeah, it's my channel. It's just for work. For me, I'm like, dude, watch my video. The other day, I was like, dude, check out my fucking intro. It's so good. Yeah.
Yeah, it seems like the passion's really important as being a creator. Like, even if you look at Jimmy at Mr. Beast and stuff, you just see the passion he has for making great videos, for delighting
It's a
the
delightful feeling to make people go, whoa.
Yeah.
Like when you and I finished watching The Dark Knight for the first time and your mind just melted, you're like, what the fuck? I mean, how much fun would it be if you could aim to make someone else feel that way? For aiming for like getting 1 million subscribers in a year, what I want to aim for is like at least one guy's like, the fuck? And I've gotten that response. Like the ending of that video gave me goosebumps. They'll say stuff like that. And I'm like, holy moly, like I did that. There's no competing with that. Yeah.
You know what's crazy? I think you've given that feeling to more people than you even know. Because for me, like personally, like when I started posting our stories together and stuff, and people would text me say like, oh, you know Captain Sinbad?
Yeah.
Like people actually know you, like random people in my network would just be like,
Right,
hey,
right.
that's Captain Sinbad, right? Or people I would meet, be like, hey, I saw you on Instagram. You're hanging out with Captain Sinbad. I'm like, yeah, Nikhil, yeah. Like, it's like, it's crazy, man. Like you actually have a pretty wide reach, I think.
Yeah.
And that's kind of crazy to think about.
I suppose so, yeah. It's best not to think about it, honestly, but it is, for anyone who's like watched and appreciated, like that is, it's what I live for. Like I appreciate it so much. Yeah.
You mentioned the challenges you went through after college. You said your father ignored you pretty much for 5 years. You had to basically make ends meet in LA for a bit. That failed, right? In terms of auditions.
Right.
Came back to Minneapolis, had to go back to a 9 to 5, and then you launched the channel.
Mm-hmm.
So I guess my question for you is, what do you think, what was going through your mind and your heart at those times, like those rough times? Did you hit rock bottom, basically? When did you hit rock bottom?
It felt like it, yeah.
Yeah, when was that? When did you hit rock bottom?
The first big rock bottom was at 25, just moving back home, and the Aladdin thing didn't come through, and just feeling like such a loser, and just really hoping to God that I wouldn't be a bum for the rest of my life. Like I had to become successful somehow at something, even a little bit of success, because I had no success. That was just a mere what it really blows my mind is that moment was just 5 years ago.
Yeah, just 5 years ago. You hit rock bottom, right?
Yeah, and I just felt so afraid. I just afraid that like I got this shot at life and I just wasn't able to do anything with life. Like that was just heartbreaking to me. I never got my shot to make it.
So you always wanted to be the main character. That's why you went to LA in the first place.
Right. I just wanted
and you're worried. You're like, shoot.
I just wanted to do something big with my life. I just wanted to be great at something and for people to know me for it. And
you were essentially going to be like your dad, right?
Yeah.
You studied coding. You went back to Minneapolis.
Right.
Got a good job, comfy job, making $70K.
Yeah.
And that was okay.
But at least with that, I was like, yeah, I didn't get the job I wanted, but even with $70K, I respected it. I was like,
okay.
Even if it's my dad's job and all this stuff, at least that's not like, because my dad, like I know people, like they're 30-year-old children they're still like on daddy's money. Like it's really wild. They have no.
A lot of people are in our generation.
Yeah. There's no sense of being self-made at all.
Yeah.
I understand using your parents as patrons if you come from that kind of privilege for a little bit.
Yeah.
But to have no sense of desire to, like my cousin, like I don't think makes his own money. And even my dad's brothers, you know, like my uncles.
And they're all in the US?
No, these are
They're back in India?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, like to never have made my own money, right? Like the only reason I would feel like so useless. The only reason I'm on this earth is because I'm like fucking being taken care of by my dad, even though I'm already 30 years old. It's like it's like living like a child for your whole life. Like I'm fucking useless. I can't make money. I'm like fucking that would be horrifying. So at least if I was making 70 grand a year, sure, I never became an actor, but at least I'm not useless. And that's still maybe my biggest.
So you're not useless. So then where did you hit rock bottom? 'Cause you said at 25 you hit rock bottom though. So you're rock bottom, but you still had some confidence because you got a job.
Just a hope. You know,
You had a hope.
There was a little bit of time where I didn't have that job. I didn't have anything. That was probably a rock bottom.
Why was that a rock bottom for you?
You just need to be able to do work and produce value.
Yeah.
Otherwise, you're just a child your whole life. A man needs to make his own money, right? Like he needs to make his own money. Yeah, but I got out of that. I guess we all of our lives have multiple wake-up calls.
100%. I've been through.
Yeah, a couple of them, right?
100%. Yeah.
What's some of the big ones for you?
Well, you know, we talk about even this recent business that I worked on for a number of years in Europe. We sold it last year. We took it public actually on the Toronto Stock Exchange. Like,
Dang.
there was a lot of stuff that happened there behind the scenes and backstabbing with my business partners and even just with the stock collapse of 2022. So my net worth at one point was well over 5 million.
Yeah.
In terms of the value of my shares in the company. And then with the mix of the stock decline and basically my partners kind of screwed me over.
Yeah.
It went down significantly.
Yeah.
So, and just the emotional burden of building a business. Like, I think it's probably similar to making a channel. Like, I don't think that's one thing I don't know if viewers can appreciate when they come from a comfortable corporate job. It's like how much work it takes to build a business or build a channel, I'm sure.
Yeah.
Like, you put your heart and soul into that. And then for that to not fully to reach some level of success, but not your full expectation. And then also having your business partners who you've been working with, your comrades, basically turn on you. Like, that kind of screwed me up for a bit.
Yeah. That definitely creates like a little bit of a heartbreak.
Yeah.
Heartbreak about your business from that.
And then also it's like the purpose side where, like, imagine that you built this channel for 5 years, 6 years. You built it to where it's at today. And then someone comes up to you and says, Nikhil, okay, I'm going to pay you now. I'll pay you $2 million in cash for this business. And I'll give you a 10% royalty for the rest of your life. And that's going to bring in income. And they're going to invest and build out the team and whatever. But you can't work. You're no longer the talent in this. You're not on the production team. We're just taking this channel. We're going to bring in new actors. We're going to just make this our own thing. You just sit, you take your money and that's it.
Yeah.
We'll send you a check every year for your royalty and that's it. How would you feel at that point? It's kind of crazy.
Yeah.
You'd probably feel good at the start. You made some money.
Yeah. If I took that deal,
Yeah.
I'd be really... I would need to find a new mission to work towards. If I can't work, when I was breaking up with my girlfriend, or she was breaking up with me, she said like, "You're successful, but it's only through the channel. Like sure you have this, but without this you wouldn't have anything. Like that's the only reason you're so. Basically, you got lucky with this thing, and I agree. I'm a little bit lucky for sure, but I was like,
She said that to you though?
yeah. Because she's like, you think you're such hot shit. You're only lucky because you got lucky that you make YouTube videos, you know. But you think
That's pretty scathing though. That's savage.
I think I probably deserved it.
Okay, fair enough.
But
And when was this again? How long ago was this?
this is 2020. But I broke up with the same girl like multiple times over.
Okay, so 2020. Okay, 2020. So your ex says that you're just a one-hit wonder. You
Yeah,
got lucky.
exactly. You're a one-hit wonder. But I told her, look, if I couldn't do film, I would just try to become the world's greatest programmer and would gain all these certifications. And I would force myself to find meaning in it because I just need progress. And I would love for it to be through film and cinema and TV. But if I can't have that, I will find joy in learning JavaScript. I'll force myself to. I love progress. So however I can be successful, I will look for success, and I will create my own like RPG game arc to rise up through the ranks in that thing. I'll make up the joy in that.
You'll become the main character.
Yeah, of that thing. Yeah, for sure. Yeah. So honestly, if I got that $2 million a year and they're like, dude, you can never make videos again for a living, I would probably just immediately go back into like something like AI or programming and be like, my story arc is to just become great at this, and I'm gonna be great at this, and I'm gonna study it every day, and it's gonna be super fun. So,
I call that the winner's mindset.
really,
Yeah, it's like that. I think that's that place that men get to once they kind of work up personal development and they go through enough failures where they just come up to this point. I call it the winner's mindset, where you're basically like, I don't care what happens, I'm gonna do whatever it takes to win. I'm going to put in whatever. For example, if you lose your channel for whatever reason, you're going to find out another thing and you're going to become a winner at that.
Yep.
It's that mindset. And one thing I say, I tell myself, and something I've reflected on, is that actually the winner's mindset comes and you have to have it. It's proven. Sorry. The winner's mindset is proven when you're willing to be a loser and still be a winner.
Yes.
And what I mean by that is you're willing to, for example, go into a new field or quit your job to try to make a channel or try to launch a podcast or start a new business. And you're willing to do that, and you're willing to work like a winner every day. But on the outside, you're a loser because you're starting something new.
Yes.
And you're always a loser when you start something new.
Agreed.
You know what I mean? Do you agree with that?
Unbelievably true. Yeah. I say this to people. Sometimes I meet people who are younger than me and they're sad because they're not successful yet. And I'm like, I want you to know, dude, if you just stay the way you are, because you're acting like a winner, you will not lose forever. And I can promise you, I'm the same guy I was when I was 25. And the one thing I wish I knew when I was 25 and that every 25-year-old who's broke should know is that just because you're broke and just because you feel like the world is shitting on you doesn't mean you're doing anything wrong or you're a bad person. You just got to keep going.
Yes.
And if you feel like a loser now, but you're like, I'm just trying, but it feels like the world's like is against me. Like I literally am doing my best. I was the same guy at 25. The only difference is now I know a little bit more, and I got lucky here and there. And so I can capitalize on my opportunity. I just survived for more years. And in that survival, I was able to grab these little inches here and there. And then I learned something and I turned that inch into a mile and be like, all right, cool. Now I definitively have a mile. And now at 30, I'm not broke and stupid like I was at 25. I'm the same guy though. Yes. In some ways, that 25-year-old was better. He was actually working harder because he was so desperate. Whereas now I kind of know I'm going to be okay. So I'm not like.
So you're a little bit comfy now.
I still try to really get after it.
Yeah.
But
it's
I'm
not the same.
I'm just not as stressed as I was. Like, it's impossible to be that hungry again. It's really hard to be that hungry. Because I've proven it to myself a little bit. I'm a little bit more relaxed than I can do.
I'm also more relaxed.
It's impossible. But if you've never done it before, you're like, fuck. I just hope I'm not a loser forever. Like, I gotta get out of this. It's like if you've never gotten laid before, or like it's been a long time since a girl's been into you. Every time you could not even like the girl that much, but every time you get rejected by a girl, like, fuck, dude, I must be autistic and no one's telling me, like, fuck, something's wrong with me. And as soon as you get laid once, you break a dry spell. You know, like, all right, if this girl doesn't like me, all right, it's fucking fine. Like, she probably, I don't know, maybe she got back with her ex, maybe something else is going on. Maybe she's just fucking stupid.
Being validated.
Yeah, and she's not into tall Indian guys. So that's her loss. What the fuck? That's so stupid. But like, it doesn't worry me if a girl is not interested in me anymore because I've like broken that cycle of like being. But when it seemed like every girl wasn't into me, and it was like
it was hopeless.
I was like, fuck. Dude.
So at 25, you were kind of hopeless.
Oh yeah. But whereas now I'm like, even if I fail today, I'm like, well, whatever. I'll figure it out. I can get back up. Yeah.
Dude, I love that, man.
Yeah.
I love that, my brother. Dude, this has been amazing to talk with this. I'm going to switch it up a little bit now as we wrap up.
Sure.
So basically, like, how would you summarize Captain Sinbad or just Nikhil Pandey over the last 5 years? You mentioned that every year or every 100 videos, things doubled in terms of your business, but also, how would you characterize the stages of Nikhil Pandey since starting the channel? And the types of content and the themes and how you're looking at life?
I just happened to kind of consider this I would say I'm entering the 4th season of my channel. The first one was in 2019, and that was just my breakout year where I was having working on discovering all these new things. I was discovering a little bit of like the rules around YouTube. I was uploading all the time. I was like living in my childhood bedroom and figuring things out. And it was very like there's no production value, but there was just a lot of striving and a lot of learning, and that was great. Then the second year, 2020 and 2021, that was season 2. I was switching over from like the self-help, stoicism, nofap guy to now filmmaking, and my interest in my comedy sketches were becoming more elaborate. There were more set pieces. I hired someone for the first time, and we were discovering filmmaking together. And the comments of the channel were more like, wow, this was so crazy. Like, I can see you improving video. I was doing all these crazy things. Like, I would have a sword in the video and like do a King Arthur themed video, literally playing around with it. And there's this great discovery and love of like filmmaking.
I think that was very legendary. If I could just jump in, like the watches Jordan Peterson once video, I think is legendary now in the annals of YouTube history. I think some of the other watches once videos were just absolutely just comedic
thing, like
gold.
Discovering comedy for the first time. Then the next leg that I would say started 21 and 22, honestly 22 and 23, is right after, I wouldn't say it's a breakup, but basically someone I was really, really interested in just didn't want to see me anymore. And so I don't think I'm still recovered, honestly. Like,
how long ago was that? You said?
At the start of 22, we kind of fell off.
It's been like 2 years
She
ago.
would even like, even if she heard it today, she'd be like, ugh. If she knew how much of a pivotal person she was to my story arc, she would think I'm goofy for it, you know. but like I just
for her it wasn't as big a deal, but
no, I don't think she cares at all. But for me, it was for some reason she just really did it for me. And so when things ended between us, and the whole red pill era of YouTube, Hamza was taking off, First Man was starting to make videos. Andrew Tate's name had just been put into the culture for the first time. I was discovering those ideas very profoundly within me for the first time because this woman rejected me because me being a nice, pleasant guy wasn't enough. Just wasn't enough.
So were you bringing enough value? Was it a value issue?
It was a value issue.
So you think that if you had higher value at that point, you would have kept?
Totally, yeah.
Do you think if you were who you are now at that point, do you think you would have kept her?
Yeah, I would intimidate her today. She'd be like, what the fuck? The real pity of my situation with her is that she had sex with me when I was I was 28. I already had I was making good money. I was making like 20 grand a month at the time. And I would lead with money a lot. I would like pay for expensive dates to try to impress her and all this shit. But I didn't know anything. And I wasn't that fit. I was kind of unfit. I had this chubby face, you know? And I wasn't that dangerous. I wasn't that kind of like intimidating. Like she was always leading the interactions. I was in her frame. She picked the movie. And I was like, the great tragedy of my situation with her is she fucked me in that era, but she never got a chance to like see me today. And like, if she would have sex with that guy, she would really enjoy having sex with this guy because like he's so much more. In the last 2 years, I went through the most dramatic aspect of my transformation, you know? It's like, what? I broke up with her.
Where is this girl right now? Where is she? Where's she from? She's Minneapolis?
She lives in Minnesota. I don't want to be too, she lives in,
You have her Instagram? No.
Different. I know it, but I don't follow her anymore.
No.
But I'm still weak for her, bro. But,
what was it about her though?
I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know.
It's crazy. Some girls are just like that, right?
Yeah. She's older. She's 37.
Okay. Dude, you'd think that you'd be the catch here.
I don't know, dude. Yeah. I thought I was the catch, or I thought it'd be easier because she's older.
Yeah.
But it's like we broke up, right? And I was like kind of coasting a little bit. And then like 3 months later, I deadlifted 405 for the first time, which is nothing crazy, but like from like a guy who didn't lift before that.
Dude, that's insane. That's
and then
solid.
I ran a sub 6 minute mile like in that summer for the first time. Like totally out of shape guy, right? A year later, like motorcycling, airplanes, skydiving. And then I even learned business at a deeper degree. I got a fancy car. All of that in some way has been fueled by that.
Wow, that's crazy. That a breakup.
Yeah.
But I think it's a very relatable story. I think a lot of men have gone through that.
Yeah.
Even for myself, I just remember in college, like trying to talk to girls and just not really getting much traction. Yeah, I was a lot more cerebral back then. So I would talk about.
But I don't think
topics.
you were like stung like I was, because you're much more pure than I am. You really are. Like,
What does that mean?
You're just a very sweet guy.
Am I?
So
I'm one of the nice guys.
No, you're very sweet. You're strong.
Yeah.
But there's a sweetness and a purity to you. That's why everyone likes you, because you have a very healthy self-image. So you don't get emotionally volatile about things. You're like, hey man, that probably wasn't cool. It's like the most you would get at someone. Whereas people who are like, their egos are too fragile, they'll just like blow up on you. They're very emotionally all over the place. You never lie, from what I can tell. You're very true. You're like a paladin knight.
I appreciate that, man.
Yeah.
I appreciate that. That's nice.
Yeah.
That's
Whereas
nice.
I've been a little bit more sick and twisted. I'm more
So
like,
you had like a villain arc, you're saying?
yeah, yeah, yeah. Which sounds cringe to say. If we were in RuneScape, I would be one of the Zamorak.
Okay.
He's like the.
I used to play that game, but I don't know what Zamorak
He's like the
is.
demon god. Like
Okay,
he's
okay.
the fucking dark side.
Okay.
And I forgot what the good guys. His colors are like red and black.
Okay.
You're like Saradomin. Saradomin is the white and blue knight. Like his very pure, connected to the earth. Type vibe.
I used to play that game, and I'm surprised I don't know these characters' names. But
Yeah, because that's is deep lore. It's deep. That's deep RuneScape lore.
dang, man.
I was in the archives, you know.
Do you think it's healthy for men to go through a villain arc when they've
Ultimately,
been rejected?
no. Ultimately, no. But
You don't think so? Or
But
you think it's useful?
it's healthier to go through a villain arc than to go through no arc at all. And I would say probably my guess is 80% of men don't go through an arc because it's just too scary and there's too much activation energy. So you are actually the rarest breed. To go through a very healthy arc makes you a much more rare being than me, because I know in this last year I've met the most amount of successful people that I've ever met in my life. And at least half of them have a massive chip on their shoulder. And that's maybe slightly more than half, massive chip on their shoulder. And that's what's contributed dramatically to their success. Funnily enough, 2 of them had like near-death experiences. Like they almost got very sick for months on end and nearly died from their sickness. And then it just went away. They got healthy. And then after that, they acquired massive success. So, but like it's very rare to be like very, very emotionally healthy and still have the persistence to go for big success, because it takes a lot to overcome. It's hard to find that energy from a pure place. Dark energy,
Like Goggins, for example. He
Yeah.
had so many demons.
yeah, dark energy is very easy, is very reliable to tap into, and it can fuel you during endurance events very well. The problem with it is it's corrosive. It probably does reduce your lifespan because it just destroys. It hurts, you know. What you really need is just to cry and you get love. The thing with men is like,
Do you think men need love?
so badly, bro? One time, like my business partner, just because of it as a meme, he just like hugged me. He's like, "Come here, bro. Just give me a hug." Or sometimes it's really weird. Like I'll be editing, and there's a bed in the basement because a brand gave me a bed. I didn't know where to put it. So I'll be editing for so long.
For a brand deal?
Yeah. Yeah.
It's just in your house. You just have an extra bed.
Yeah. So I'll be editing for so long. Manoj, my business partner, will be like doing something on the bed right behind me, and I'll be take a break from like, fuck, I'm so tired of editing. So I'll just lay in the bed.
Okay.
And then he's just so fucking weird. He'll be like, "Come here, bro." And then I'll go, and then I'll cuddle Manoj for a little bit.
So Manoj is your business partner?
Yeah, my business partner. Or I'll just give him a hug, I'll give a man a hug, like a platonic hug. And all this cortisol will leave my body, and I'll just feel so good. Like I'm just hugging another man, and I'll just be like, "Oh my God!" Like it's just like affection, like it's human
need it.
touch. We need it, and men
We live in a cold world.
super deprived of it. You know, men are always just like, either you're fucking a girl or you're grinding. But I'm like, dude, in between fucking a girl and grinding is actually just like hugging a dude, actually. And that's actually like, it's not bad. It's not a bad thing. It's not sexual.
Okay.
It's not gay. It's just like we benefit from affection. I bet we're all laughing. If I gave you guys a hug right now, it would feel good for all of us. Like we'd enjoy it. It's just we're emotional animals before we're sexual. You know, we're social beings, right? I feel like even chimps hug each other.
Should we just try right now?
Yeah, let's just get in there. Yeah,
Should we just do it or
get a
no?
hug in there.
Is this gonna work on camera or what?
No,
Is this red pill now or are we blue pill now?
This is super blue pill.
We're blue pill now?
See, like, do you feel that little cornflake?
Oh shoot, yeah. It feels like instinctual.
Yeah, I feel very like it's.
I feel like I'm in kindergarten again, you know? It's like when you're like hugging your buddy.
And dude, the thing is,
First
we're
grade.
friends, right? Like we're buddies.
I feel uncomfortable but also like comforted. It's like
What if I think about it too hard, then I get uncomfortable.
Yeah.
but if I like allow myself to just be like in my childlike wonder,
Yeah.
it's actually really nice.
No, it actually reminded me, it brought back memories of when I was like
Like fucking preschool. Right?
Yeah, like preschool, like you meet your first friend on camp.
You're like,
you know.
hey man,
Yeah.
like I love you. You know.
Yeah, you're just as a kid, right?
You're just a kid. Like man, me and my like Chinese friend like Larry, like it was just so much fun. Lawrence, man, Larry, yeah, it was.
Larry?
Larry.
Lin?
He's. No, I just had a Chinese friend from my childhood, my favorite friend. I literally like sought him out as a friend.
He was the only other Asian kid. Like everyone else was.
Yeah,
white.
he just had this crazy hair. Where it was all shaved. He had like hair like a
was badass.
samurai, and he had little ponytails sticking out. I was like, Larry, I want to be your friend.
He
bro."
was the main character.
He was, and we would just play like Yu-Gi-Oh together. And I would hug him sometimes. Like I'd be like, "You're my friend, buddy."
What happened to Larry? We need him.
I don't know.
We need him back. He needs to come back in the arc.
Dude, I'm too
Of
scared
this-
to meet Larry now. Like, what if we don't get along?
Yeah. So many fun memories.
It would just ruin like me being 4 if I do. Yeah.
Dude, that's insane.
Men need affection was the big thing that I was trying to say there.
And do men get affection? Do they get love in
No
society?
way. No.
How do men get it? Like what are your thoughts on this? How do we solve this issue?
I think we need to prioritize male friendships.
Yeah.
I think for a lot of guys, they work their day job and then like dating for them becomes like their hobby. So there's like their job, maybe the gym, video games, and then dating.
Okay.
They don't make time for male friends, hanging out with other guys, especially guys you connect with and relate to, just the bros, right? And if you have a strong brotherhood, it's just so healthy. It's so healthy because we're both guys. Our brain. I don't have to explain to you how my brain works. Like I don't have to explain to you like when a girl walks by, I'm like naturally like that, right? Like we can both be like, oh yeah, that girl. We can both go through it. Or if we're thinking about other stuff, you know,
Yeah.
like my mom's unwell. Like it's nice to have a masculine brother to get me through that. So it's I don't know how people make friends. You know, the reason I have friends is because I made videos, so I connected with people because of the content. But if I wasn't in social media, I would worry about making male friends and like, you know, reliably hanging out with male friends. It'd be really hard. It's tough. It's super important. We need to battle the loneliness of modern society through friendship. Like you're my friend, right? Like we call each other up sometimes and we just chat on the phone. And whether it's productive or not, it's really good. Like
Yeah.
it's good for us.
I agree with that.
Yeah.
That is so true. It's so hard to make friends these days,
It's really hard
especially
to
in
make
modern society. 9 to 5s too.
Yeah. It's really tough.
How are you gonna meet people after work? You work at 5. 6
And
p.m.
also maybe you could make a friend, but I was at a hard time making friends with people who thought like me,
yes,
who had the same ambitions as me, who didn't pull me lower. You know, it was an elevated experience. You know, you motivate me. You know so much that I don't. It's very
Likewise.
invigorating to be around you. And that goes for everyone in my life. Even my videographer, Anuj, like he inspires me. Everyone on my team inspires me in some way. So it just feels very like something amazing is happening between us. I feel like I'm okay, even if my company goes under for a little bit, or if I'm going through hard times. Or I feel like I'm with the boys. Like I'm not alone. We're in this together.
yeah,
Yeah.
we're in a battle together.
We're in a battle together.
We've got our spears. If we're running out of food,
Yeah.
we'll find it.
And you can get that from a wife, you can get that from a girlfriend, but there's something about that male brotherhood that it just feels good. It feels very, I'm sure it's a callback to when we would hunt together as
Yes,
ancient beings. We would do it together, right? We were useful to each other.
a team.
Yeah, we were a team. It is worth seeking out, even if it is harder. And I'm glad it worked out for me now. Like I'm the least lonely I've been my whole life, and I've been pretty lonely all my life. So I feel so grateful for that. You know, it's fun. Like us hanging out these last few days.
D-Rock as
Super
well.
fun.
Shout out to D-Rock.
D-Rock, shout out to D-Rock. Yeah.
Yeah, man. I feel like we've been together for 24 hours, maybe in at least all 3 of us in Miami. And like, I think things turned once, like definitely me and you first. then D-Rock coming in and just like,
Yeah.
dude, things became way more fun.
Really fun. Yeah, when it was me and Brielle, it was fun, but it was a little bit more stressful for me
Okay.
because I was the only one leading the charge on this whole thing. It's you bring a girl with you, I feel like she's just. I don't feel that sense of security. I'm with you guys. You're like, let's go, let's get after it, let's do it. You think like
There's
me.
an energy.
There's an energy that's created. I feel very secure in the fact that you're here too. You bestow some confidence.
Likewise, man.
Yeah.
Dude, it's been awesome.
Right. Yeah.
Dude, I mean, you've learned a lot. You're nearly 31 years old now. You've been through a lot. You've built a brand. Yeah. What do you want your viewers that are loyal to you? Like, what do you want them to learn from you? Yeah.
Oh, for me,
Like, what are you trying to teach them?
I guess I'm trying to teach persistence
Yeah.
and continued faith. I think above all else, faith in good tidings to come. It can seem like you're stuck in life. It can seem like sometimes you're stuck for years, but your fortunes can change. And even if your fortunes are good, they can become spectacular. And even if they're spectacular, this beautiful journey can continue to unfold. But especially for the people who feel stuck, you feel like you're behind in life, it's not working out. Let us keep the faith that we can like live great lives. And
I love that, dude.
that's what I hope to embody and share. Even when I haven't been perfect, I'm like, I hope that I keep getting better at life, and I hope I keep becoming the man that I'd hoped I would be when I was a child. I hope I can transform it into that more and more, just to show what's possible and to say like I'm not even special. I hope we all can do this. That's my tagline on my channel is very, very cheesy.
Yeah. What's your tagline?
It's just greatness is coming.
Okay.
But it's because I would just mutter this thing to myself. Like, even if I had no reason to believe greatness. Even now, I'm not particularly special, but I hope that I can do great things with my life. And I'm just going to keep trying and keep learning and doing my best every day. And I hope I can be proud of the story that is going to unfold.
I love that. I love that advice to your audience. I love just what's driving this. I feel super inspired right now.
Cool.
Yeah. So tell me, I believe you just got a tattoo right before the shoot.
Yeah.
So first of all, why did you choose that tattoo? First of all, what did you write on the tattattoo?
Right,
Let's show it to the camera.
Yeah. The tattoo here is don't think, just do.
Yeah.
And it's a large part of it was driven by a conversation I had with someone who's in my coaching program. Part of my business is teaching other people how to grow on YouTube.
Okay.
And this lady was talking about what her vision was for her brand. I want my thumbnails to look like this. I want the content to be like this. I want the editing to be like this. And I more or less said, I was like, Ashley, it's only in retrospect can you realize what your brand has been. Just like we are closing out this conversation, it's only in understanding what has happened in these last 5 years can I tell you, oh, this is the theme of my life, kind of. But I didn't know it in advance. And you can't...
The dots only connect in reverse.
Yes, exactly. And I can't have planned for it. I couldn't have planned for it. So don't try to plan for it too much. A little bit of planning here or there, like 10 minutes a week, might be worth it. But for the most part, don't think, just do. And one day you'll be able to look back and understand. Even this trip, I could not have planned for it too well because we didn't know it would rain the last 2 days, right?
Yep.
We had all these other plans. Things do get variable, but we know that like if we just look forward, like what can I do useful this day? It ends up being a great trip. We did not know we would end up in Little Havana.
No.
We thought we were doing something completely different, but it was still amazing. And the reason it became amazing is because we asked ourselves, what's the next thing in this moment without overthinking it? And it was Little Havana, and now that's going to be this incredible sequence in the video. Yeah.
I agree with that 100%. I think it's so easy. I actually was talking to D-Rock about this earlier today. I think it's so easy to get ideas about stuff and get excited about ideas.
Yeah.
Elon Musk talks about, he's got so many ideas, but you got to spend 50% of your time doing the chores
Yeah.
with whatever you're doing, no matter how big you get.
Yeah.
And it's so true. It's so true. Like just doing the thing, the boring thing, just doing the simple thing. You don't have to make a big idea. Come up with an action plan. And I've gotten really big back into to-do lists, like just making a to-do list,
Yeah.
reviewing that often and being organized and just doing it. The simple stuff, the complex stuff, whatever you're doing,
Totally.
just doing it.
Yes,
I agree.
It is the best bet. It is the best bet for how things are going to play out. Just take action. Do the next intelligent thing you can think of to do. It'll be great. And then you'll look back on your year and be like, holy fuck, this was a sick year. You can't plan it. It's the theme of this year is going to be like this. Just fucking go.
So I've got 2 last questions, Nikhil.
Yep.
The second last question is, now that we're entering the new year of 2024,
Yep.
what is your theme for 2024 and what big plans do you have for that year?
This is, for the first time in my life, a year of travel. And as we enter season 4 of Captain Sinbad, we're transitioning out of Red Pill. We went from self-improvement,
It got dark.
no fat videos,
Okay.
to filmmaking,
Yeah.
to Red Pill.
Okay.
And now season 4 is like travel, adventure, vlogging, human story.
So getting out of Minneapolis a bit more.
Absolutely, yeah. And in that context, my word of the year is fearless, because I'm afraid of travel. I'm just afraid of the uncertain.
So were you afraid to come to Miami this week?
Yeah, totally.
It's your first time in Miami, right?
Yeah, I didn't want to come, dude. And when things go wrong, you're like, oh fuck, I actually shouldn't have come. You know? But it's been a beautiful experience, and I think the audience will be. I actually think 2024 will be the start of a completely new visual and tonal energy on my channel that I think people will be very surprised by. It'll seem less First Man, maybe more like Nathaniel Drew, Yes Theory, Nicholas Crystal, street interviews, travel, challenges, story arcs inside videos. It'll be a year of great experimentation, I imagine. We'll go to Tulum, hopefully, you and I.
That'd be fun.
Yeah, now I put it out there publicly, so hopefully, yeah. That's my thing.
That's exciting, man. I didn't even realize that. You're going to be, totally changing the content up.
I will be, yeah.
Freshening it up. Cool, man. Well, dude, it's been really great chatting. I guess my last question for you is, what movie do you think kind of signifies your life or that you aspire your life to be?
So
if it was in a movie, because you love movies so much.
The movie that I'm trying to like live out is The Count of Monte Cristo, which is a little bit older now. I don't know how many people know it that well.
Yeah, I don't know it.
But Edmond Dantes was a sailor in the 1800s during the Napoleonic Wars in this mythical story by Alexandre Dumas. And he gets wrongly imprisoned of a crime he didn't commit because his best friend betrays him, because his best friend wanted to be with his girlfriend, essentially. So he becomes imprisoned in the Chateau d'If prison for 14 years. And he meets a rabbi who teaches him how to read and sword fight in there. And the rabbi also tells him that there is a big treasure that was actually accumulated, the treasure of Spada. It was thought to have not existed, but it is there, and it is on this island. Eventually, he gets the opportunity after 14 years to escape. He goes to Spada. He claims the treasure. He goes back to Paris, now a wealthy count, the Count of Monte Cristo. And he comes back as a crazy high-status man, and he exacts revenge upon his friends and his conspirators for his years in prison so many years ago. And he ends the movie as basically like this kingly man in Paris with the woman of his dreams. And he like won. And despite the struggles, despite the 14 years in prison, he was a wealthy family man at the end of it. And as soon as he escaped the prison, the first thing he did was he got swept up by a band of pirates. He joined their crew. And when they asked him his name, he said Sinbad the Sailor.
Wow.
Yeah. So that's the movie.
Well, Captain Sinbad, thank you again for your time.
Yeah,
and I hope that someday you can be that Count of Monte Cristo with your wealth and your status and all the
be
joy.
A great count like you.
All right. Well, thank you.
Thank you, bro.
This has been great.